So I go to the gym today, like I normally do, but I went a little bit different time than usual. And I get up there and there's this girl in there that I hadn't seen before. And she's cute, and she's looking good. She is looking firm. She doesn't have a whole lot of body fat. She didn't have a lot of muscle, but the way that she was working out gave me the impression that she might be training for something in particular. So she and I are the only ones there. So I go start talking to her and I'm like, I ask her, what are you training for? I'm like, just kind of curious what her goal was. She goes, well, I guess you could say what I'm training for is summer. And I was like, what a clever answer, right? But that got me to thinking, how about we talk about that a little bit, right? Because it is that time of the year where we need to start thinking about putting on a swimsuit and what that's going to look like, right? It's not everyone's favorite thing. But I thought that I could maybe give a little bit of insight into what I know around shedding some body fat this time of the year, right? And of course, I like to use genetics to find out, for the individual, what the best approach and most effective way, like how is that person going to get the most bang for their buck? If they're eating right and exercising and they want to see the most out of those efforts for losing body fat, then I like to get the quick, saliva swab, get the DNA done so that I can give them very specific instructions, and we definitely get the most bang for the buck when we do that. Not everybody chooses to do that, which is fine. And I can still help. So here's one thing I like to say, because it doesn't matter what your genotype is, what your genetics are around how efficiently or how your body will go about utilizing stored fat as an energy source while you're doing your cardio, right? Because everybody will, but not everybody will burn some fat, right? But not everybody's going to access that fat resource as readily as other people will. So regardless of what your genotype is, to the whole masses, I can say this: if you were to exercise in a semi-fasted state, which means either first thing in the morning or 3 to 5 hours after your last meal, right? This would give you the greatest opportunity to kind of move your body towards using fat as a major energy source during your cardio. And the reason for that is when you eat a meal, and it doesn't matter who you are and what your genetics are, when you eat a meal, your body breaks everything down and it makes glucose out of it. And glucose is another word for energy in your body. So your body's going to use that form of energy first, whatever's floating around in your bloodstream, right? That's going to be the major energy source your body pulls from for your cardio when you first get started. Then as it begins to hit some level of a threshold, right, where it's utilized a certain amount and what it considers left is what it wants to use for the brain to function and the heart to beat and all that other stuff, it will say, that's enough of that, no more glucose. Let's transition and start using more stored glycogen for energy, right? And so it will do that and start using glycogen as a main energy source while you're doing your cardio, right? And then another type of threshold is achieved and your body will transition to mostly using stored fat for energy. So there are a lot of factors that influence each one of these transitions I'm describing. Genetics is one of them. But in any case, no matter who you are, you will go through this type of a process. And so eventually all of us will start using more stored fat for energy. So do we want to go to the gym and burn stored glucose for energy? Not stored glucose, but do we want to go to the gym and use glucose as a main energy source? Or do we want to go to the gym and burn some of the fat that's laying around, from COVID and Christmas and all kinds of other yummy things that, well, COVID's not yummy, but some of the things that we have gone through and or enjoyed is hanging around, and we kind of want to shred some of that off. So if we exercise in a semi-fasted state, what that means is we don't have as much glucose in our bloodstream at the time that we begin to do our cardio. With less glucose available in our bloodstream, then we would transition from using, the unavailable glucose really to more glycogen a little bit more quickly. And then we could go through that glycogen a little bit sooner, which would then prompt our bodies to begin to use more of the stored fat a bit sooner into our cardio session. Yay for that, right? So that is one tip that I give people, regardless of what their genotype is, if they have a fat burning goal. So off we go with that. Take it for what it's worth, and let me know if you've got any other questions.